Welcome to another episode of Farming in Ohio with Chris Bruynis. Today we're going to be talking with a new farm management specialist, so stay tuned. Welcome back to another episode of Farming in Ohio with Chris Bruynis. Chris Bruynis is an extension educator in the Ross County area. He serves throughout the state of Ohio. Chris, it's always a pleasure talking with you.
It's a pleasure to be here, and it's even a greater pleasure to introduce Eric Rieker. Eric Rieker is one of our three new farm management specialists with statewide responsibility, and it's a programming area that we've had needed more programming in for some time. And Eric, I'll let you, I don't remember exactly when you started in this new role, but sometime here in 2023, if my memory serves me right. Eric, welcome.
Hey, thanks. Thanks for the warm introduction, Chris and Patrick. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is Eric Rieker. I am currently serving in a role with Ohio State University Extension as a field specialist in farm management. I have some statewide responsibilities, or I have statewide responsibilities, really in farm management education, with a focal area really in meeting the needs of Ohio's beginning farmers and their farm management needs. Prior to coming to this role, which, Chris, actually we started November 1st of 22, so just a couple months were logged last year in coming up on our 1 year anniversary. Prior to taking this position in farm management, I was a county extension educator in Fulton County, with an office in Wauseon, in the northwest corner of the state, just 30 miles west of Toledo for reference. So I don't know how much you want there in the intro, but had a really great experience as a county educator that allowed me to do some on-farm research and some programming with farmers that would not, if I hadn't had that experience, I don't think I would have been afforded this opportunity to work across the state in farm management education. Just really formative professional time as a 10-year county educator.
Well, Eric, not only your experience with Extension, but my understanding is you've been farming your entire life in a family farm operation. And so tell me a little bit about that history.
Yeah, Chris, that's you're spot on. For my entire, I'll say, professional career post-college, have been a call it what you like, a part-time or a moonlight farmer, if you will. More recently, we've restructured our farm business to include my brother, father, and nephew, and we grain farm corn, soybeans, wheat, and some alfalfa as well. Up in the northwest corner of the state. So that has informed a lot of that has helped me stay very in touch with what the average grower is needing. I would call us a small to mid-size operation, but certainly makes decisions that are scalable to larger farms and also scalable down to small size operations.
So, Eric, one of the charges you've been giving, and I don't know if it was a charge necessarily given or just an opportunity accepted, is to work with our new and beginning farm population here across the state of Ohio. Eric, you've kind of been charged, we have three new farm management specialists here in the state of Ohio, and so you're a third of a team, but you've kind of given leadership or been charged with giving leadership to the needs of Ohio's beginning farmers. Can you tell us a little bit about what that encompasses?
Yeah, that's a great lead off, Chris, to kind of where where we can go for perhaps some of the rest of the show. But one of the charges when taking that position was what are the farm management, identifying farm management needs for Ohio's beginning farmers. In some cases, kind of quantifying that or qualifying that as barriers, but then how we as Ohio State University Extension can work to help beginning farmers overcome those things. So when I think about barriers to entry for Ohio's new and beginning farmers, and perhaps this is even beyond Ohio, I think it is there's a tremendous amount of barriers. There's tremendous opportunity, but there's also tremendous barriers. And when I think about those things, I can quantify them as access to land, real estate, or buildings that are necessary to run a farm or an agricultural operation, access to capital, production skills, those things like actually producing a crop or caring for, providing the right nutrition to our animal agriculture businesses, but other things like management skills, time that's necessary to run a farm, farm transition challenges. Even though we may have an opportunity, there may be transitional challenges. And then in a lot of cases, we hear young farmers, beginning farmers saying, well, I want to be in this industry, but I don't necessarily have a mentor, or I'm not sure how to find one. And we know they exist, just getting those folks paired with each other. In our new role, and I'll kind of introduce the three farm management specialists, but in our role, we've been really asked to work on farm management skills. And those are things that range from financial management to risk management to business decision making to marketing and capital expenditures. So things that help us financially run a business and grow it, if you will. In many cases, farm management applies to lots of small businesses. So talk just a little bit about our team. Chris, you alluded to this in my introduction. We talked a little bit about it, but I'm one of three who were hired last fall of 2022, to kind of embark on this farm management space that, as we perhaps not had as much capacity in the past or prior to really about 2006, 2008. Ohio State prior to that had a little bit more capacity in this area. And so it's really exciting for Extension to be able to hire David Marison as the interim director of the Farm Financial Management and Policy Institute. Sometimes we kind of refer to that publicly as the Farm Office, with some other folks. Bruce Clevenger, another colleague who's up from originally from northwest corner of the state, as I am. David is over in Eastern Ohio, and as you've alluded to, I'm working hard on those Ohio beginning farmer and rancher type questions, and I'm not sure if they're issues, but opportunities. David has a real good knack for farm transition. Is kind of does some excellent things there, and Bruce has some specialty programs working with ag lenders, and just does a phenomenal job with helping new and beginning farmers with record keeping. So those are us three. My role back in the county, I spent every winter would have some farm management related programs and encourage farmers to improve, or at least document for the first time and perhaps the second, third, and fourth time their records, but also their financial documents like the balance sheet, cash flow statements, and improved income statements that are more than, you know what I'm going to say, Chris, more than the Schedule F.
Some of the information, I think you alluded to that earlier, this is really no different than managing any business in terms of record keeping, in terms of decision making. I mean, yes, we're producing a crop or a livestock but we talk about it in an econ class back when I was in college. We could be producing widgets, and the same management principles apply. Is that correct?
In many cases, yes. Now we could have a whole nother show on the ways agriculture is nuanced or different, but in whether you're making a widget or whether you're growing a commodity grain or livestock product or a specialty food product, yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly that many of the things are the same. We could have a whole show on weather, which is a big deal, right? In agriculture and in production. So
one of those things we manage but don't control.
yeah, exactly. There are tools for managing the weather issues thrown our way, but it is certainly out of our control. So, but these are things that I want to help young farmers with to the extent that I can. That I will say that, you know, some of the charges that have been given to me as a farm management field specialist are to work on this Farm On financial management course, which I'll talk just a little bit more about, and then also help farmers understand risk management, both from a crop insurance perspective and which helps manage those weather issues that we were just talking about, and then also farm policy, like the Farm Bill, which is sometimes like reading a foreign language, and we need to boil it down to the nuts and bolts of the matter. I've also, in my career as a county educator and a little bit here further in as a field specialist, really have enjoyed working in value-added enterprises. I think in a lot of cases, new and beginning farmers might have fewer land acres or buildings or real estate to work with, and so they have to get a better bang for their buck, if you will, and maximize their value on those acres. And that could be specialty crops or direct to market or organic grains or things like that. And so I've been working in that space as well.
Yeah, it's very difficult for new and beginning farmers to compete in the commodity market in terms of growing yellow number 2 corn or soybeans or what have you. And so, yeah, I think you're right. For them to be successful, we've got to find that niche. We've got to find that how do we take this product and turn it into something else that's in demand or create demand for it to increase the income for that smaller tract of land.
To kind of tie all these things together related to farm management and kind of inform our audience or potentially beginning farmers that are out there, we have OSU has had for some time a farmoffice.osu.edu website. It's kind of our quick resource page. There's a farm management. Well, there's some key tabs, as you can see there, related to ag law, taxes, transitioning, and of course the tab that I found myself going to quite often as a county educator was this farm management tab that talked about Ohio farm custom rates, land values, land leasing values, and then also key enterprise budgets that would help inform beginning farmers and current farmers, frankly, what the market is for input costs and writing a good enterprise budget. So just want to make our listening audience or viewing audience aware of that farmoffice.osu.edu kind of website that I find really valuable. So want to talk briefly about House Bill 95. When I gave that list of barriers to entry, this is kind of one of those items that help create relationships between the senior generation and the beginning farmer generation. This was a bill that was passed in 2022. It was a tax credit to landowners or land leasers, not just land, but all assets. That allowed for a 3.99% tax credit to the selling or leasing generation to a certified Ohio beginning farmer.
I think this was one of the confusion points when we first heard about Ohio House Bill 95. There was a lot of people out there that thought there was going to be money available to help me get started into farming. And then when you read the fine print, it's really going to the people that are helping me get into farming by selling me either land or assets. And so it wasn't really a direct benefit to me that I'm going to get cash in my pockets to be able to buy something, but it was really an incentive for landowners and asset owners to embrace new and beginning farmers by getting this tax credit when I sell to that population. Is that true?
That's true for the most part. To be fair to the legislation, I would say there are two carrots here, right? But they're different size carrots. One carrot going to the landowner that's a little bit more larger to incentivize them to develop a relationship with a new or beginning farmer who's had less than 10 years of farming experience. They get the bigger tax credit, or they get a more sizable quantity of tax credit. On the flip side, the beginning farmer is asked to take a financial management course that in most cases costs a little bit of money. Our course costs $300, and they get that, the beginning farmer gets that value back in a direct Ohio income tax credit. So, but when you add those numbers up, there's certainly a difference in the size of the incentive, and it favors the asset owner, if you will. So that's a real good point. So a big thanks to Representative Susan Manchester and Representative Mary Lightbody for making this bill happen. It began on January 1st. It'll sunset at the end of 2028. There is language in the bill that requires a farm management course in order to become a certified Ohio beginning farmer.
You said it sunsets in 2028. A lot of legislation that has that sunset clause, especially when it comes to taxes, it just sunsets if there's no further action. But it could be extended if the legislature picks it up and says this is a great thing and we want to continue it. So is that true that the sunset is just basically if we don't do anything else, but a lot of times we'll come back and revisit that and say this has been good for Ohio, and we'll extend that. And so, not that I want everybody to say, oh boy, I better get my land sold tomorrow. There is that possibility. You said there was some courses, and maybe I'm getting ahead of you on your slide deck here, but I also know personally you spent a significant amount of time creating the farm management course called Farm On to meet the requirement of training for this bill. And I don't want to see it as meeting the requirement. I think that course is going to be good for anybody, even if they've been farming for 10 years and they've probably not been managing the farm as a business. It's been more of a lifestyle choice. So why don't you tell us a little bit about the course you created?
Yeah, well, love to do that, Chris. And I'm gonna kind of start with Ohio State's approach to meeting this need. Okay, we at Ohio State University, both on campus and through our statewide campus, what we call extension, there's kind of this four-pronged approach to meeting these farm management course needs. And so I'll start with the Farm On course that I got another slide about. Greg Meyer and David Marison, two of my colleagues, are hosting in-person or coordinating in-person events that'll be, perhaps a Saturday or two, or perhaps evenings. And then it's also important to note that if you have a son or daughter on main campus, there's an Ag Econ course that currently qualifies or that got approved to meet this beginning farmer need, as well as the course at OSU ATI or the College of Food, Ag, and Environmental Sciences Worcester campus. They meet that course requirement. When we put together the Farm On course, we wanted to make this course asynchronous, which basically means on demand and self-paced. So any of our beginning farmers, or any farmer, frankly, that wants to take the course can. It's made up of 10 modules that cover anything from farm business planning to decision making to risk management to financial documents to tax preparation. And it'll be revised after this first year, hopefully for improvements. There's video lessons, short quizzes, and then some participatory exercises that help apply what is going on in the course. I have individual consults and class hours or office hours, if you will, for those who are enrolled in the course to ask questions and email questions. And at the end, they get a certificate that qualifies them to become an Ohio certified beginning farmer. What's unique is it's held on this, like you're a student at Ohio State. So it's held on a platform, the Scarlet Canvas platform that's that you can access at any point, any time, any place you have an internet connection. So that last highlighted item on my slide deck there, I moved over a little quickly. USDA's Farm Service Agency Beginning Farmer and Rancher Loan Program. But this is also assists folks with two of those barriers I talked about on my first slide: land access and capital access. It's a reduced rate loan. I'm not going to go into detail, but it also has a farm financial management course requirement that we've got the Farm On course approved for. So just wanted to call everybody's attention to that. And as you know, we kind of move into some questions and Q&A time. Before that, I would highlight what we have on the books for the in-person beginner and small farm financial colleges.
When you're talking about the Farm On course, it's been up since April. I'm just curious, are we seeing people even outside of Ohio coming to this course and taking this course and finding, I mean, I'm sure they'll find value, but has this bled over? Like many extension things we do, it seems to grow legs and they find us in other parts of the country or other parts of the world. Have you noticed that this has extended beyond Ohio yet, or has it been exclusively an Ohio-based population?
Not to do a deep dive, but right now it's just an Ohio population, Chris, because the Ohio Beginner Farmer Tax Credit Program is an Ohio-only program. There are absentee landlords, of course, that are looking for Ohio-based farms, and so those on the course are generally from Ohio. On the FSA side, the Farm Service Agency side of the U.S. Department of Agriculture, at this moment in time, I have only applied for it to be an Ohio FSA course, approved course.
Okay.
You ask great questions, and it's quite possible that it will spill into our adjacent states, mostly for the Farm Service Agency requirement. Good question.
Okay, because I mean, I've been on your course and kind of poked around, and it's great information. Well done, congratulations on that. And so I just I think it would be a shame if it only stays in Ohio.
I don't have a picture of the teaching team, but it's important to note that this course was pulled off with myself and 7 others. So kudos to my colleagues for helping put it on. And they have, that's been a question that they have said or brought up in discussion. And I think we have all committed to rolling this out in Ohio for year one. And as we move forward and perhaps gain some traction with beginning farmers in this financial management course, we may apply to have it used on a more broad federal level. So great question. I don't think just to make sure we get this in, for those of you who really request, or your learning style is such that you really need to be in person, you have that time commitment that you're willing to drive and go to a small farms type school in person. We have 6 different locations, kind of regionally based, coming up starting as early as October in Northeast Ohio, up in the very northeast corner with some of my colleagues up there. There will be another school in Southern Ohio in November, and then some scattered. We don't have exact dates yet, but through the winter, we will have about 4 more regionally located that you can go in person. Right now, the model is 4 evenings of about 3 hours each, and there will still be the similar assignments, in some cases the very exact same assignment that is done in the online course, but they also qualify for the Beginning Farmer Tax Credit Program in Ohio. The in-person ones, we do not have them approved yet, or have not requested approval yet for FSA, for the FSA Direct Loan Program, but that's where we've kind of left off with the Farm On digital course. So,
and then the in-person, Eric, the in-person, are they? There's cost involved with those as well. Of course, the obvious cost is getting there, but I think there still is a fee to cover registration and building facilities and food and what have you. We have any idea what those are going to cost?
Yes, I can't speak for the local host, but I think if you want to audit that course, it's a very, very nominal fee. But if you want to take that course to receive the certificate for the beginning farmer tax credit program, we have been asked to keep that course cost the same as the online course, which is $300. So that's the course that I know for audit. A local county educator will help determine that. My assumption is to cover the cost of a 4-night program, $50 in that $50 nominal range. Good question.
But that $50 nominal range will not get us a certificate unless we pay the $300 on top of it.
Yes, and that's in a lot of cases the management of the consultation with the instructors and the fact that you have an extra layer of responsibility as a student that then the instructor has to follow up on, and those are the assignments and the exercises that are due to the course. So good question.
I think that's great.
Yeah, in the Farm On course, and all of these farm management needs to address Ohio beginning farmers, it takes a team, right? Just like our football team, we hope does well this fall. We also, as a farm management team, are trying to build capacity so that we can then continue to help Ohio's transitioning and beginning farmers be successful in the things that they do. So really appreciate the time here today.
Does it matter the size of the farm, whether I should be taking this farm management? In other words, if I have 50 acres or if I'm purchasing 100 acres?
That's a great question, Patrick. And the size of the operation, the scope or the type of the operation absolutely does not matter. We would argue, our teaching team would argue that we tried to put the course together with the intention of serving all farmers, but it just so happens to reward you with a certificate if you do complete it.
We're talking with Eric Richter. He's a farm management specialist with the Ohio State University Extension Program, and Chris Bruynis, who's a extension educator in Ross County. I want to thank both of you for a very informative program and look to see you both in the near future.
Thanks,
Patrick.